Okay, guys, so you may remember that we have talked about central idea before. In fact, set three of the saws is all about central idea. Um, we are going to talk about it a little bit differently today, just because I want you guys to keep in mind that we are going to be using central idea in our informative essays that we're going to be writing. So, just a reminder, a central idea is a one sentence summary of the most important thing the author wants you to learn by reading their article or essay. So, when you guys are writing your informative essays, you're going to have to think of a one sentence summary that will sum up the most important thing that you would like people to remember about your topic. Do remember that this is the equivalent of a claim statement for argument writing. We have a central idea in informative writing, which doesn't have any opinions, but still is the most important thing you want people to remember. So here are just some hints on what you can look for when you're reading other people's work, and maybe some things that you can add into your own writing to help people better identify your central idea. So, number one is the title. A lot of times, especially with articles that you'll see online, if the title is something like whatever the title is, it will really help you figure out, oh, this is what the most important thing the author wants me to know, because they'll try to draw you in with the most important thing. Topic and concluding sentences. If you don't have time to read the entire article, let's say it's like a huge article, start reading the topic sentences, so that first sentence in every paragraph, and it'll tell you what each paragraph is about. You can decide, like, oh, I want to read more, or nope, that paragraph isn't going to have the information I need. And then you can also look at the concluding sentences, because usually authors in their wrap up sentences will have important information in that conclusion. The next one is headings. So if you look at the title, obviously that will have the information. And then headings are those bolded um, sections that chop up different paragraphs, and they'll tell you what the next section will be about. So that can kind of give you an idea of what the most important thing you're supposed to learn is in that. And then repeating information. Authors obviously will repeat information that they think is important. So just be on the lookout for that. If you notice an author has repeated information a bunch of times, um, it's probably something important. Um, so remember, the central idea is the topic. So topic is going to be 1 to 2 words plus what the author is saying about that topic. So we're actually going to look at an example now. Maybe let me get rid of my pen. Okay, now I can click on to the next one. So I'm going to read you guys this little thing about COVID, and then we're going to go over why that is the central idea. So, the new coronavirus continues to cross international borders. Obviously, this is old because COVID is not new, but bear with me here. Its spread puts two questions on the top of public health officials' minds. How deadly is it, and can it be contained? In order to answer these two questions, it's helpful to look back at similar outbreaks. Two cases in particular are important to think about. First, the 2002 to 2003 SARS outbreak from spread from China to 26 other countries. It took 8 months to contain. Second, and more recently in 2009, the H1N1 influenza pandemic originated in Mexico and spread across the world. Today, we have good data about how severe and lethal these previous outbreaks were. However, it's still too early to judge the new virus, which we scientists are calling 2019 nCoV. The case was similar to the 2009 influenza pandemic. Early reports listed 59 deaths from approximately 850 suspected cases. This data indicated a very high fatality rate of 7%. Is the current epidemic more similar to the SARS outbreak or to the 2009 flu pandemic? I'm a professor of biology who studies the evolution of epidemiology of infectious disease. In my view, in late January 2020, we do not have enough solid evidence to answer this question. I'm optimistic that scientists will continue to share information that can be analyzed to answer this question. Okay, so after reading this article, I'm going to ask myself, what is the topic of this article? And obviously, this is an article about COVID-19. Notice that's a one word 1 to 2, like if you count 19 as a word. But that's the topic. It's short and sweet, and it just sums it up. Now, I'm going to also ask myself, like, what is the author saying about COVID? And obviously, he's not saying that they know a lot. So I think the central idea is something along the lines of uh, scientists need more data about COVID-19 before they can decide how deadly it is. So let's look and see how close I was to the answer. So scientists are not sure yet how deadly the coronavirus will be. So that one perfectly sums it up. It's one sentence, it's short and sweet. If you told somebody that was the central idea, they might not even need to read the article. Why are these other ones not great? Diseases are dangerous. It's not specifically talking about COVID. So remember, we want it to be what the article is about and the most important thing the author wanted you to learn. The next one, the H1N1 influenza pandemic originated in Mexico. This is just way too specific, and it doesn't cover one, that the article was actually about COVID, and it doesn't cover everything that was mentioned in the article. And then this last one, SARS spread to 100 other countries. One, that isn't correct. According to the article, it said 26 countries, and really that is not what the text was about either. Okay, so we are going to read, you guys either have a handout about Betty Reid Soskin, or it says she became a park ranger at 85. And you guys either have a handout, or there's also one on Canvas that you guys can look at if you don't have the handout in front of you. Let me show you where to find it on Canvas really quick. Okay, so let me click over to here, and you can see that this is where it is linked. It's called Central Idea. So you can click there if you don't have the copy of the article right in front of you. It should look like this. Okay, so I want you guys to think, what is the most important information that I'm about to read to you? She became a park ranger at 85. When asked how it feels to be 100 years old, Betty Reid Soskin gave a subtle shrug, smiled, and said, not just any the same way I felt at 99. Not just any centenarian. That means somebody who is 100 years old. Soskin is the oldest active ranger in the National Park Service, and after celebrating her birthday on September 22nd, she's still going strong. Seated in the study of her apartment in Richmond, California, dressed proudly in her park ranger uniform, Soskin reflected on her life. I think everyone's story is very important. There's so much diversity. It's in that mix that the greatest secret of democracy exists. So I'm going to just underline some, oops, sorry. There we go. Sorry. I'm going to underline some information that I felt like was really important. So I'm going to underline this heading. I feel like this heading is telling me that this is going to be some important information. And then I'm going to underline that she is the oldest active ranger in the National Park Service. I think those two things seem like they are very important right off the bat. Is there anything else that you guys would add that you think is important in this? Oops, I forgot I have to clear my pen before I click to the next one. Okay. It wasn't until 21 years ago, though, that Soskin truly started telling her own tale. While working as a field representative for a California assemblyman, Soskin attended a meeting with the planners from the National Park Service. They were organizing the development of the Rosie the Riveter World War II Homefront National Historical Park, created in 2000 to honor Americans on the home front who worked in various industries across the country to bolster the war effort. So I'm going to underline things that I think are important, is that she attended a meeting with planners from the National Park Service, and then that they created this Rosie the Riveter WW2 World War II Home Front National Historical Park, and that it was created to help Americans. I thought all of that was important. Okay. Oh gosh, the pen. I'm still on the pen. Okay, so now we are going to hop over to the biography and I'm going to read it to you guys. And I want you to underline any details that seem important, circle any words you don't know so you can look them up, and put a star next to surprising information. On the back of your worksheet, so the back looks like this, there's a little box like this. I want you to do the central idea right here. And then down below, I want you to do bullet points of important things. So just tell me, what are some important things from this article? And I want you to make a list of some of the things that you would include if you were writing a summary. Okay? All right, I'm going to read this to you, and you can be underlining your worksheet as we're reading. We actually have already read this part. Okay, so that's everything that we've read so far. So we're going to keep reading now. So you guys might want to go back through and underline anything important in these first 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, okay? The park paid homage to Rosie the Riveter, a pop culture icon, symbolizing civilian women who worked in shipyards and factories, assuming the jobs vacated by men during the war. But the depiction of a red bandana wearing white woman didn't speak to Soskin's own experience on the home front as a black woman in segregated America, she said. During the war, Soskin worked as a file clerk in a segregated union, Boilermakers Auxiliary 36. Black women were not freed or emancipated in the workforce, she said in a 2015 interview with the Post. Unions were not racially integrated and wouldn't be for a decade. They created auxiliaries that all blacks were dumped into. We paid dues, but we didn't have any power or votes. Sitting in that meeting with the National Park Service planners as the only black person in the room, she realized something. The history, as I had lived it, was nowhere in sight, not 1 minute of it. Soskin decided to change that. She became a consultant to the park in 2003 and a park ranger in 2007 at the age of 85. Sharing her story with as many people as possible, she decided was her way of reclaiming her history, and that of countless others who have gone untold. So you guys are going to write the central idea right here, and then a list of all of the important things that you would include in a summary about Soskin if you were going to write a summary, and those can just be bullet points. You guys should either paraphrase or take direct quotes, but remember, if you're going to be quoting stuff, you should use this author tag, Sydney Page, a journalist for the Washington Post. So go ahead and you guys can do this on your worksheet, or if you are doing this online, you can do it on the computer.